Here is the truth. In order to manifest your dreams, you need to reconnect to yourself emotionally. You do not need more productivity content and content that makes you feel motivated, because the truth is you can force productivity, but you cannot fake inspiration. In today's video, I'll be sharing 4 tips with you on how to reconnect to the moon's energy, which is truly the key to regaining inspiration and moving closer to your manifestations. Hola, my beautiful dreamers. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel, where we merge everything cosmic with everything self-development to become our dream selves every day. If that sounds like something you're interested in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you don't miss future videos like this one. You can also follow me on social media for more cosmic content, background, and lifestyle content. You are now also available to get your own dreamer merch on my website linked below, as well as a free astrology cheat sheet in case you want more information as an astrology beginner. Even if you don't necessarily believe in astrology, it's important to understand that everything moves on an energetic frequency in the universe. The moon is arguably one of the most important celestial bodies when it comes to examining our own frequency and our own emotions. The moon is truly the energetic access key to get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on with us on a deeper level and how to truly reconnect with ourselves on a deeper level. I won't be going over the moon signs here in this video because it would be really long, but if you're interested in more about the moon specifically in your birth chart, you can go to my moon sign playlist, which will be linked in the description, so you can learn about your specific moon sign, and there's also more videos about the moon specifically. But for the sake of this video, I just want to give a brief summary about the moon's energy and why it's important to connect to. In astrology, the moon is connected to the feminine energy and the emotional tides, meaning that not only is it the motherly celestial body that represents the mother, but it is also the emotional tides, which means that everything connected to emotional healing and emotional nourishment is related to our moon sign. When we uncover our moon sign in astrology, we are given more access to what goes on with us on a deeper level. So your moon is your emotional nourishment. But even if you don't know your moon sign, the moon in general is a necessary energetic frequency to reconnect to get back in touch with your inner self, your deeper self, and your shadow self. It's the key to replenishing your creativity, your spark, your vibrancy, and to bridging the gap between where you are now and the reality that you're manifesting. Number 1, schedule alone time away from screens and stimuli. I'm going to read you some research that I found regarding how much information we tend to process on a daily basis. Information scientists have found that the average person living today processes as much as 74 gigabytes of information a day through TV, computers, cell phones, tablets, billboards, and many other gadgets. That's the equivalent of watching 16 movies, reading over 200,000 words, or scrolling on TikTok for nearly 200 hours. And every year, our brains take in 5% more information than the previous year. To further put this into context, consider this. Only 500 years ago, 74 gigabytes of information would be what a highly educated person consumed in a lifetime through books and stories. What we sometimes forget, however, is that our brain is a living, active organ. Unlike a machine or computer that passively responds to inputs and processes data, the neurons in our brain are living cells with a metabolism. They need oxygen and glucose to survive, and when they're processing an onslaught of information nonstop, they can easily get tired. Your consciousness is not only being overwhelmed, but it is being stolen from you. You begin reconnecting to your inner self and your creativity by reconnecting with conscious presence. And what I mean by that, technology, because it is hounding you with information, you're taking in 74 plus gigabytes of information per day, you are overwhelming your brain and you are overwhelming its processing ability. You start outsourcing your life to things because you have no energy and no processing power. So now you start to try to escape, to try and cope with that, to cope with the emptiness that you feel. Or you start turning to things to do everything for you, such as AI. And I'm not an AI hater personally. I do use ChatGPT occasionally because the reality is this world demands so much from us. It really does. It feels almost impossible anymore, and it is nearly impossible anymore to do anything alone. However, you should not be losing your consciousness and completely handing over your brain to all these things outside of yourself. So one of the number one things you need to do if you want to reconnect to your inner self and reconnect to your inspiration, your spark, and truly get into a place where you are manifesting your desired reality, you need to step away from all of the screens and the stimuli. The screens and the stimuli are killing your consciousness and taking you away from yourself. It's essentially stealing your consciousness and replacing it with an empty vessel. If you've ever seen the movie WALL-E, that is what comes to mind. The people in WALL-E are basically empty vessels. They always have a screen in front of them and they have everything done for them. That is the number one way to allow yourself to be brainwashed and to lose sight of yourself. It's more than just being sad and being lethargic because you're always scrolling and consuming. It's more than that. You are potentially being brainwashed to lose your consciousness. You're being separated from your heart, from your emotion, and what makes you you. So it's necessary that you take time to step away from the stimuli and the screens. Not only that, but external overstimulation drowns out your own emotions and replaces it with things like anxiety, fear, panic, etc. But isolation time away from all of that allows you to recenter without all the outside noise influencing you. There's a lot of times recently where in the morning, I would usually always play some type of like uplifting frequency when I first wake up and while I'm making tea. But now sometimes, especially when I wake up feeling overly stimulated and like my nervous system is on a high, I'll actually just open my sliding glass door so I can hear the birds and the trees rustling, and I'll make the tea and everything and I won't play music. I'll just hear the outside noises as I make my tea and do my morning errands. It's truly soothing to have a break from all of the curated noise. Return to what's real and be present in it on a regular basis, and that is where you begin returning to yourself. Number 2. Train your nervous system to feel safe again. The moon is the epitome of the feminine energy, considered the mother of astrology. Reconnecting with the moon is largely reconnecting with the feminine energy as a whole. And no, this is not about gender roles. This is about the yin-yang polarity. We will be unable to connect with our inner passion, creativity, and desire if we stay in the masculinity of fight, flight, or freeze mode, partially due to the fast-paced, overstimulating world. There are 2 ways that you start training your nervous system to feel safe again. The first one is to start teaching it how to slow down. The world has us on 2 times, 5 times, 10 times speed. If you're somebody who tends to watch your YouTube videos, your TikToks on 2 times speed, challenge yourself to slow down. Start with slowing your content down, the things that you consume down. A lot of times when I'm feeling overstimulated, I return to shows like Gilmore Girls or old animes like Naruto because the pacing is just so much slower. There's more room to breathe, and it relaxes my nervous system. A lot of the newer shows and movies, they are way more stimulating. They're meant to try and fight for your attention at every given moment. And because of that, we tend to turn everything up a notch without realizing it. And what that does is that's forcing our body to try and keep up. And now our body is moving at 10 times speed, and it feels unsafe at any given second. It feels anxious, panicky, paranoid because there's too much stimuli. It's like our body's constantly in fight or flight mode, and then the freeze mode is being in a rut. That's what happens. That's your body's response to this overstimulation. My advice would be to return to some slow grounding rituals for yourself, not only taking everything down a notch in terms of how fast you consume things, return to normal speed for videos, return to slower shows, return to books, but also have calming grounding rituals. Something I love to do if I'm overstimulated is journal or take a bath. And I know that you've probably heard those time and time again, but taking a bath especially, and do not have your phone, okay? If you're going to have any stimulation in the bath, it should just be a book. But if anything, if you can manage it, lay in the bath, close your eyes, and breathe. Practice breathing techniques in the water. Water is also the element connected to the moon. So this is, by nature, connecting you to the moon energy because the moon rules the emotional tides and the water element. Now, the second way to start making yourself feel safe again is to start accepting emotional impermanence. Because we move so fast and our emotions tend to be so volatile because they're constantly being pulled in every which direction, you might feel very agitated. You're quick to jump to conclusions and feel hopeless based off one feeling. I saw a video on TikTok recently where the woman said, if you were to wake up one day and find that you had one flat tire, would you slash all your other car tires because you're like, well, there's one flat, whatever. I guess I'm just gonna might as well slash all of them. And then she said, that's how you treat all your goals. Whenever you make one small mistake, you start having a meltdown. You go, oh, well, I ate bad once today. And so now who cares? I guess I'll just wait until Monday again. It's because your nervous system moves so fast that you are so quick to react to stimuli. Too much is being demanded of your nervous system. The best things you can do is returning to sitting with your emotions and allowing yourself to really feel what you're going through at any given moment. And it's not just about being able to sit in that emotion, it's about being able to accept that emotions literally move like water. That's why I love that it's called the emotional tides. Because when you think of the way that waves crash against the shore and move back out, sometimes waves are more powerful, sometimes they're much softer and calmer. That is literally the way that our emotions work. All you have to do is realize that emotions are like a wave. They will come and go, they'll rise and they'll fall, but you just have to ride the current wave that you're going through. And one of the ways that you do that is by honoring it, sitting with it. Accepting the impermanence of your emotions will also allow you to move through the chaos of the world much more grounded, because you realize that you don't need to give everything a reaction and not everything is the end of the world. Also, bonus tip, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're feeling overstimulated, return to drinking tea, not coffee. Number 3, express your emotion through creative means. In the world that wants you to perform, creativity has turned into performance. But creativity is not performance. Creativity is the way that we transmute the emotional tides into something that moves the energy from within our body to something outside of ourselves. This is why journaling is so powerful, because if you're somebody who a lot of things get harbored inside and you suppress, and you're also really bad about talking about your emotions to people, journaling is a way to transmute the emotions onto a page and give them somewhere to go outside of yourself. I always like to refer to it as an energetic tumbleweed. If we are not transmuting our thoughts and our emotions in a way that is healthy for our nervous system, we are not untangling the tumbleweed of our energy and extracting it and giving it a place to stay outside of ourselves. By expressing emotions through creativity, you're giving yourself an active channel to process those emotions and really process what's happening within yourself. Think about the word emotion. It literally means energy in motion. And if that energy cannot move through you and be transmuted in a healthy way, then it cannot move for you towards your manifestations, your desired reality, and your dream self. In fact, repressing your emotion and staying so disconnected from this lunar emotional tide energy actually creates sickness in the body. When I was 18, I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. This is basically a type of aneurysm. If you're not familiar, it means a blood vessel popped in my brain, and the blood was then traveling through my cerebrospinal fluid and down the body. It was excruciatingly painful, and I thought that I was going to but at the time, I was putting myself through immense stress. I was about to go off to college. I was trying to hang out with friends for the last time. I was working 2 jobs full time. I was taking on a lot, and it may not sound like any of that is a huge deal, but if you're an overthinker like me and you're somebody who expects perfection out of themselves, you put so much weight on yourself and you tend to suppress a lot of things in order to reach perfectionism or to execute the way that you want to. Obviously, no one could explain logically and scientifically why I had an aneurysm. The doctor didn't even have guesses as to why I had one at such a young age, when usually it's people of older age that have them, and a lot of people don't survive them. I took that as one of my first signs that your body speaks to you when you suppress and you refuse to acknowledge your inner self and what that's really telling you. It can be something as small as tight muscles or something as dramatic as an aneurysm. But you must start learning how to listen to and honor your body in order to connect to those emotions. And instead of repressing them, give them a healthy channel to transmute, such as creative means. Not only that, but moon energy is connected to the heart chakra. And when your heart is not being expressed, you are blocking the heart chakra, which can also manifest as physical pain, which I have also experienced before. I highly encourage you to get back into writing, sketching, dancing, painting, singing, collaging, and it's not to be good at it. It's simply to be real with yourself and your emotions in a world that demands nothing but performance and speed. Number 4, dare to reconnect to joy and playfulness. Joy comes to us in moments, ordinary moments. We risk missing out on joy when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. This is a quote from Brené Brown, a super renowned self-development author. You may or may not be familiar with her. I heard her recently in a podcast say that joy is one of the scariest emotions for people to experience, to allow themselves to experience. And that is because it is such a vulnerable emotion. Joy has become automatically paired with embarrassment and cringe in our current society, because if you open yourself up to joy, you are showcasing what you actually like, what you hope for, your dreams, what you're manifesting, whatever the case may be, and you don't want to look stupid. A lot of times, if we want something to happen, we're not going to tell anybody we want it to happen. We'll be like,
if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But inside, you're dying for that thing to happen. And then when it does, you play it cool. You're like,
oh, yeah, awesome, great.
But inside, you're jumping for joy. Why? Because at any moment, you are trying to wait for the needle to drop. Is that the expression? I hope so. But you're just waiting for the moment that your joy is tarnished, because that's part of what makes you a jaded adult. You think that it gives you power. You think that it gives you control if you do not openly experience joy too much, because you might find it embarrassing if that joy is negated in some way. But this is where reconnecting to the moon energy comes in. The moon is connected to the 4th house in astrology, the house of the childhood. And oftentimes, as we grow up, we get disconnected from the magic and the wonder of life because we're supposed to be an adult. I think one of the most popular phrases people like to say casually that's actually a curse is, you're too old for that, I'm too old for that, we're too old for that. Removing childlike joy from our lives is the number one way to lose connection to our spirit's vitality, our sense of faith, our inner spark, and our sense of joy. I wouldn't call myself a Christian. I love to learn from all religious doctrines, but there is a story in the Bible that I think really beautifully describes the key to unlocking our dream self and having the life that we want, that we tend to greatly ignore, and I don't see it talked about enough. Jesus says, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Meaning that heaven belongs to those with childlike faith. The universe blesses those that move with this childlike spirit because it is the spirit of joy and passion. A large part of bringing your manifestations into fruition is through your ability to connect to the excitement of life. This is truly what they mean when they say that in order to start manifesting, you need to partially relax. Yes, you need to put in action on your end to get the wheel turning, to get the momentum going. You still have to experience joy. Being type A and overthinking and over planning for your manifestations actually removes your ability to receive them and to make them happen. Being too caught up in the idea that you can overplan and overthink your manifestations and your dreams, your goals, is keeping yourself under the illusion that you have complete control over your life, which will get you nowhere except overstimulated and stressed. You have lost connection to that faith and that childlike joy. And one way to reconnect to this childlike joy and sense of wonder is to reconnect to hobbies and activities that you enjoyed as a kid. And you are not engaging in these activities for any reason other than enjoyment. We have gotten so caught up in this idea of the pursuit of happiness and constantly chasing a purpose or a goal that it has removed us from recognizing the magic in life, and we've become desensitized to life's smaller magical moments. Oftentimes, these little tiny magical things are happening all around us. Like, I love that my desk in the living room faces the back door that faces a background of trees. There's so many moments where I might start feeling stressed about something, so I'll take a moment to just gaze out the door as I'm at my desk, and I'll see squirrels running across the patio, and I'll see cats running across the patio. I'll see cute little birds bouncing around the patio. I'll see squirrels flying around in the trees like it's their little kingdom. There's also moments where I think it's raining and I'll look outside and it's actually leaves falling, and it's so beautiful and so magical. But most of us have become so desensitized when a lot of magic is happening all around us. It's like the way that kids love to jump in piles of leaves. I think it is the coolest thing ever. Dogs love to do that too. You know, animals are a big reminder too of how to experience small, childlike moments of joy. But our attention is conditioned to be so numb. Oftentimes, even the extraordinary does not impress us anymore. But even if we do get excited by something, a lot of times we're suppressing our joy and our excitement because we fear looking stupid or being disappointed. So we decide that it is safer to sit in consistent disappointment because we aren't brave enough to express happiness out of fear of being hurt. I actually want to share a quote that I read recently that says, "Going from being worried about what might happen to being excited about what might happen is only a mindset shift away." None of these tips I gave are things that you should do. They are true invitations to return to what your soul already knows that it needs. You just have to reconnect to your soul and reopen that conversation. The conversation that the world tries to steal from you so you lose sight of yourself. Reconnecting to that moon energy within yourself is truly the key to recognizing who you are again and what inspires you. Then your Mars energy is how you put it into action. So if you want to see how to put things into action, be sure you refer to last week's video. It'll be available on the end screen, where we talk about how to actually get things moving and get the momentum going. Comment your Mars and moon sign down below if you do know them, but if not, it's okay. Tell me what tip you connected with the most. But if this helped you feel any inspiration again or any comfort, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. But until I see you next time, adios.